So moving on from the advanced coding, the other common thing we basically hear is like, where do I start? There's so much information here. There's so many reports. There's so much data here. I don't know where to begin. And so we're showing just a kind of a snapshot of 7 different sections of reporting here. This doesn't even include anything you've done in the custom tab. So, and within these sections, of course, you can see that a lot of these expand into even more reports. So there's a lot of information, and people tend to get overwhelmed sometimes, and they don't know where to start. So a couple quick tips on that. And the first is, the tip number 1 is really, starting with that question again, where do I begin? Well, a great place to start if you don't know where else to go is the intelligence events, also known as alerts. Most people will call them alerts. And basically what this is a whole collection of information where the whiz kids and Googlers and those awesome engineers over at Google have created these algorithms and said that these are things that may be important to you. And let's just go ahead and dig into that. And again, on the upper left, you can kind of see where these are located. So there's a few different events that are available, and I'm just going into the overview section here to give you a feel for what information this holds. And you may notice from the screenshot that there's automatic alerts, which we're going to talk about today. But this is actually very powerful. If you see the other tab, custom alerts, you can actually set up alerts based on what you think is important and not just what Google thinks is important. So we can see, let's just pick one of these and kind of look at it. We're going to pick number 4 here. This is just an engagement goal of people spending more than 3 minutes on the site. And if you look at these different, let's take each of these columns or these groups of columns and talk about what they mean. Basically, segment is going to tell you if it applies to all traffic, or if there's just a particular area that's impacted by this. And then the period and the date and the change is basically saying that this is in the overview. So we've got daily, weekly, and monthly events. It's going to tell you what kind of event this is or what kind of alert, the date range, and what the change was. And then this awesome importance column here is great. If you are new to analytics, I'll give you a quick tip. Green is good and red is bad. So whenever you see that in analytics, you'll know that green is good and red is bad. In this case, it's a decrease in goal conversion, so it's bad. The other thing is that the width of that importance bar just means there's a confidence level associated with that or an impact on the site. So that is relevant as well. So if you have everything there at a glance, you can see what happened, what the date range was, what the change was, and how important analytics thinks this is. From there, you can actually get even more information. So if you don't know where to start, come into your intelligence events section, go into the overview, pick an alert, and dig deeper. Click on the details. And basically, when you click in the details, what you're going to see is a kind of a breakdown of what Google was expecting and what the contributors were to this decrease, or hopefully, in your case, an increase in activity. So Google tells you, if you look here, it was expecting, for example, $495 in goal value here, or excuse me, $1,000 to $1,523 in goal value, and it only had $495, and that's a pretty significant drop-off. So it's telling you what it's expecting and what the actual value was. And from here, you can just take that and actually go to the particular report that it's referencing and do your own analysis and dig further. Or you can actually look in a little bit more detail, get a little bit more granular, go to the next level right away, and see that there was particular keywords and other factors that came into play. And then you can go to those particular ones to get more information as well.
For those of you who are responsible for so many different things, including for those who are responsible beyond just the web, alerts is a great check and balance to make sure that your time and attention is being directed where it needs to the most. And so to Theo's point, whether it's green and something that spiked really high, which of course you definitely want your attention brought to, and you want to be waving that green flag everywhere internally in the office, or on the flip side, whether it's read and something has drastically happened on the site, including oftentimes setting an alert for a major decrease in traffic can help, and sometimes faster than any of your website monitoring tools would, if your site has gone down for any reason or if there's any issue on a web page. So alerts are just a great way to help you from a time management standpoint. And keep in mind, as Theo mentioned, that there are a lot of really helpful preset options in Google. But as noted through our hashtag MVChat going on in Twitter, it's really important to create alerts that are important to you, not just the ones that Google has suggested that you use. So go ahead and get started with the preset ones, and then it will start to become obvious for you from a custom standpoint what additional alerts might make sense. And these will send an email out to you. And Theo, correct me if I'm wrong, also you can set it up to send a text to you.
Yes,
That could blow up your phone, so think twice about that based on what the alert is. But this way, it's portable information on the go.
Awesome, great. So moving on to the next tip, and this is a pet peeve of mine, and it's something I'm always preaching to every client and anyone else that will listen anywhere, and that's to segment your data. You really need to make any strides, to make any improvements of your website, you've got to get past the mass collection of information. And your mantra should be always be segmenting. So there's lots of ways that I would feel great about this webinar if after we're done, you guys jump in your analytics accounts and start segmenting. Start applying segments if you haven't done that before. You're not going to break anything. Segmenting is really just taking a subsection of your data and looking at that. It doesn't touch the underlying data. You're not permanently deleting anything. You can do this to your heart's content, and you're not going to damage anything. So get in there and segment and start looking for different ways you can look at the data. Just for a use case, to give you an example of how you might use it if you're not just, if you're just going through reporting, is you may see something in a report. For example, I saw for one of our clients, they had an e-commerce transaction that the product came in as undefined. There was missing information. So you can create a segment on the fly for all transactions that had a product that was undefined, and then you start to be able to get real information about what the source of this was. Was it all traffic from one location? Was it internal traffic? What happened here? What kind of browser is it? Maybe it's a particular browser that isn't working. So that's the power of segmenting, and that's a real use case of how you might do this. So again, by default, all Google Analytics reports show you aggregate data. You can't tell a lot from that. Maybe a slight pulse you can get from how many page views and visits, but really, if you can't make improvements to your marketing, you really need to dig deeper and segment. So again, it allows you to view one part of the data instead of all of it. And here's a great example. Visits with conversions, that's a powerful segment. If you want to look at over time or all of last year to understand, okay, my visits that converted or had an e-commerce transaction, where did they come from? What were the sources? What were the keywords? What were the email marketing efforts? What were the offers? That's going to give that to you in one fell swoop. Maybe you want to look at all your visits from cost per thousand advertising campaigns, so your impression-based campaigns that you have out there. Or visitors that touch on important pages or maybe special gift guides or other sections of your site. Do they convert better than everyone else, or do they convert better than another marketing initiative? And that's a great point about segmenting, is that you can compare one segment to another. You can compare your CPM traffic to your CPC. Which one is better? Or people that touched on version A of a page and version B, who is more likely to convert? So it's very, very powerful. And again, that ability to tie your reports together, to create a segment based on undefined or a landing page and all traffic that touched it, and then be able to look at all of your reports that meet the criteria of your segment. Very powerful.
This is also helpful for those of you who have many divisions or service line areas within your organization. You may have marketing managers or product managers that only care about certain sections of the site, And audience segmentation allows them, and maybe you only want to allow them, to see a certain slice of the pie. And that's exactly what what the audience segments or the advanced segments will do.
Great. So just to kind of wrap up advanced segments, on the left is a list of default segments that are already there in analytics. And again, on the upper left, if you're not sure where they are, I'm showing the audience overview report here, but it's really almost every report in analytics is segmentable. There's a couple exceptions to that. But basically, it's right below the ribbon that's got your account information and reporting and customized admin, et cetera. Just click on advanced segments and get started.